But we're gonna move on now to Southern Hemisphere, the elites of the elites. Some would argue.
Yeah, well, the New Zealand Conference.
New Zealand Conference is the elites of the elites as far as club rugby is concerned, but the rest, and there is a rest in this current form of the Super Rugby. It's just.
I used to wake up and this is like real nerdisms that people laugh at me about. I used to wake up at 6:30 on Friday mornings before school and watch a game of Super Rugby and be good at it. I had to go in because I record the other game, come on, watch that. This was like every game was exciting, every game was different. You could back the Western Force and they could put in good games. There's about one good game a week this time. It's a combination of things. There are some teams in it that are there is certainly just a huge gulf in talent between when you look at what the Sunwolves are producing, or the Bulls or someone like that, versus what you see in the New Zealand Conference from like even the Blues, who are bottom of the New Zealand Conference, but they're still a superior outfit to all of these other ones. There's a few factors that are coalescing. First of all is like the guys who run it, Sanzar, have been seeing dollar signs in their eyes for years now, so they've been like expand, and it's basically been working.
We've reached that tipping point.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. What they've done is they've just put it at a point where like South African rugby can't sustain 6 teams at the moment.
Yeah.
Australian rugby can't sustain 5. Australian rugby has its developmental issues, but they're not being able to sustain 5 competitive teams at that level. The player base isn't there.
Yeah.
The talent isn't there. So again, I this decision, as poorly done as it has been, and I know the Melbourne Rebels are suing the Australian Rugby Union, and the Force are coming out strongly saying you better not pick us, and I agree.
Yeah, I think that would be so wrong, because it would just
cut off the whole
country.
western half of the country.
It's entirely not represented.
And Perth has a good fan base of the sport as well.
A lot of Irish over in Perth, and they love rugby.
They're a cool team.
Yeah,
Western Force, I like them. I don't particularly care for the Rebels, so I think if you had to get rid of a team, the Rebels would be the team.
Yeah, the Rebels
or just
have been consistently poor.
But the point that I'm making is like you need that player base. Yeah, you need to narrow the amount of teams so that you can spread out your player base more accurately, so you can have more internationals playing. Four Australian teams, similar to the 4 Irish teams, you could have better competition. You need some of those players to move out. And with South Africa, it's the exact same.
Yeah.
I think cutting 2 teams from that and making it 4 teams is only going to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
The Southern Kings never fit in. They can go. And again, there were some good players in that team, including that lad on the left wing who's really good, who made a fool out of Carmichael Hunt.
Leave Carmichael Hunt
Shane
alone.
likes
I like Carmichael Hunt.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
The Kings never fit in. They gotta go. And then the other team that has to go is a toss up between the Free State Cheetahs and the Bulls.
I'd say Bulls
have more history.
Yeah, that's why
the Cheetahs and the Lions used to play together as the Cats.
That could easily be done again.
Except the Lions are such an established franchise in Joburg that are now winning things, so they might take offence to that.
Maybe.
So again, it's a tough thing, and it's a product of a terrible decision to expand the competition to 18 teams.
Yeah. Now that's not to say like the Sunwolves are playing poor rugby at the moment, but I do approve the idea of having a Japanese team, a franchise in there.
There's
that's good.
Some
and the Jaguares are a good outfit who are still shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, but they are a decent rugby playing side. More than decent, they're a good rugby playing side. Yeah,
and like you could say definitely that it's true that if they had left it as it was at Super 15, that they might have run into this problem anyway, because some of the developmental issues that we're seeing in Australia seem to have been happening prior to that decision.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, that was one thing I learned as well. When I was rewatching Nadolo's performance against Montpellier in the Champions Cup this year, the highlights
against Northampton.
Against Northampton for Montpellier, but his performance, and one of the comments on it was going, he's amazing, and blah blah blah. And there was someone going, yeah, can't believe it. I was amazed to learn he used to be a Waratah and couldn't get his game. Because Australian rugby player development is so focused on bringing Super Rugby converts rather than creating their own talent, was one of the comments that I read, and I was like, whoa, did not know that at all. Looked it up, turns out it's true. It's like, wow, they are so focused on apparently importing some of their talent from the not Super Rugby, I should say, the what is it fucking called? The Rugby
Stacey
League.
Islands?
No, the Rugby League.
Rugby League. Oh,
Rugby League
that
Congress.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's
okay.
so they're trying to convert Rugby League stars into union players rather than picking Nadolo.
Yeah. No, that.
Yeah. So now
I was kind of wondering what you're saying, but yeah, no, if they're doing that,
yeah,
that's terrible.
It's crazy stupidity.
They do seem to just be losing the game of they seem to be losing just the marketplace of sport in Australia.
No, it seems to be on the way. It has been for years, and it's something that Matt Williams has been talking about here. He's a very active voice in Irish rugby journalism, and obviously he's been a part of Irish rugby, but he's always been talking that way, and we've always been a little bit sceptical because you look at the top level, especially if your only familiarity with Australian rugby is watching their national side, then you'd be going, what, these guys are class, look at their attacking backline, they're always always have really good instincts, they can score really amazing tries, and they got to the semi-final this year in the World Cup. So you're going, wow, maybe you're making a big deal about nothing, but literally for the last 5, 6, 7 years he is consistently saying, no, there's not enough talent, there's no depth there.
It was amazing
really
that
struggle.
they put it together for that World Cup, but that was a couple of years after just a disastrous Lions tour where they just looked
appalling.
Yeah, terrible.
The worst team the Lions have ever had to face.
Yeah. But like it always seems to be, it's always felt like it's being held together by
duct tape
the national team of Australia. I mean by that, and again, like looking at the talent this year, there is definitely some talent still.
Definitely, 100%.
And there's definitely that identity of like attacking the breakdown and things like that. But again, like this year, it's just not gelling, and there are too many kind of mediocre operators in too many positions in so many of these. And
clubs.
you know what else? They're not growing.
Yeah,
other countries are growing and getting better and
at an exponential rate as well. When you look at what the kinds of rugby kind of plays you're seeing from all the teams in New Zealand.
New Zealand have that wheel of excellence going as
they
well.
They really do, and they're pioneering the game. Some of the little plays you see from these innovations on the pod systems, where like the Chiefs, their 2 second rows, Brodie Retallick and Dominic Bird. Two amazing players, and you see the way they operate in the open field. They've kind of pioneered this. We were talking about the pod system that Ireland have implemented a lot with Devon Toner, where you have your carrier on the outside or your playmaker on the back three. They've done little variants on that this year as well, where the 2 second rows are busting up the middle, and they've got some amazing plays, some great tries scored already in Super Rugby by the New Zealand teams.
They just have insane talent.
It's true as well.
Again, like the breathless stuff coming from Damien McKenzie and Bodie Barrett. Yeah,
Damien McKenzie is one who could be unleashed on the Lions at one point and do a lot of damage. I reckon. Exciting
things from James Lowe, another try this week as well.
That
should be exciting.
That should be really good.
I just want to speak before we sort of move on and talk about a few things, including South African rugby. I just want to talk a little bit, finish our conversation about the structure of the game.
Because one of the points we were making is just that the fixture list in the current setup with all these teams just doesn't let us see a lot of the games.
Here's my problem. You can scroll as I'm talking because I can't really reach. It's like here's my problem with all the games of the foreseeable future. Hurricanes, Brumbies, Hurricanes will win. Waratahs, Kings, Waratahs will win. Lions, Jaguares, Lions will win. Highlanders, Sunwolves, Highlanders will win. Crusaders will win that. Chiefs will win that.
Crusaders, Stormers,
Crusaders will win.
Force against Chiefs.
Force. There are 1 or 2 interesting games in this. Bulls, Cheetahs is a game between 2 poor sides that I don't know who will win. Sharks, Rebels, know who will win. Highlanders, Stormers, know who will win. Chiefs, Sunwolves, know who will win. And then we're clicking on to the next page. We don't need to. That's the point. That shouldn't be that easy.
Yeah.
It just becomes uninteresting for it to be that easy.
Yeah. There's no point in watching the Chiefs play the Sunwolves.
Yeah.
What's the point of it?
And the other thing that will speak to my criticism of the Lions, who have emerged after this week as the foremost challengers from South Africa, is that I think that they have defensive frailties that can be exposed by New Zealand teams.
And they're not going to see a New Zealand team.
And they're winning all their conference games, but they haven't played a New Zealand team, and they won't in the regular season. Unlike the Stormers, who I actually think are better placed with their defensive attitude to combat New Zealand teams, as was shown last week against the Chiefs.
Where they won, yes, that's true, yeah.
But I don't think the Lions are well placed to handle the New Zealand teams at all.
And it'll only be found out at the end of the season. Yeah. And it will be. Trust us, it will be. But that is a huge flaw with the current system. And granted, it's only going to be this year. It's changing because they're axing two South African teams and an Australian team.
The other thing is the strong basis of the conferences makes it like 4 different championships. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the New Zealand conference is really interesting.
Yeah.
But you're always wishing, like, let's just have a 5-man tournament. Let's just divorce everything else and let me watch this every week.
Yeah, because it's great. But no, that's one very much problem with it. And there also has been just between players leaving and going to Europe for both Australia and South Africa, and these new clubs as well that they've developed. There's been a dip, as well as like the pioneering and ever expanding and growth of the New Zealand teams. There's also been a little bit of a dip in the quality of the South African teams for one, and also the Australian ones.
I am a little more confident about this, a little more happy with the South African situation than I was the last time we talked about it. Largely due to the emergence of the Stormers and the Sharks. It's like one of the problems that I had was they seemed to lack a defensive identity, and that was mostly a criticism of the Lions, because like I watch their games and they win them, and they have powerful runners and they have powerful forwards and they do score tries. They're an elite South African team that thinks quickly and moves quickly, and they did a good job putting the Stormers to bed in Newlands. But the way they defend and the way teams expose them when they do get the ball is too easy. And New Zealand teams will score all the time. You see it in these afternoon matches, and it's sort of like I try and get people I know into Super Rugby, but they're not up at 8 a.m. to watch the New Zealand games. So when they are up and Super Rugby's on the telly, it's the South African games. And there are just moments, just knock-ons when there are tries on, just inaccuracies that are going on. And like the Lions are getting away with poor defending a lot.
Because there's not enough quality to expose them in the teams that they're playing. It's a consistent one that you do watch.
But what I will say is that last year it was just the Lions. Everyone else was garbage. There are 3 competent teams coming out of South Africa now: Stormers, Sharks, Lions. Good teams. 2 of them, Sharks, good at turnovers, very good breakdown, good at defending with an emphasis on the breakdown. They spoil the ball. Stormers, good blitz defence, pressures teams, stops them at source. Very good attacking players, and Cheslin Colby, they can
also just very physical presences. They're all
and then the Lions are the most physical team for me. They're very quick. They move the ball quickly, and they're very physical. So from those 3 teams, you can put together a highly competent Springbok side that can compete. So I'm a little bit more. I'm a little bit more comfortable with the possibility of that happening than I would have been.
Will they pick
a few
the right
weeks back?
teams
After last year, it was just the Lions, and they picked a South African team that was just a Lions South Africa team, and they were exposed. Let's be honest. Faf de Klerk got exposed. Elton Yankees got exposed.
I still think Faf de Klerk is a decent player. I have never been, nor am I, impressed with Yankees, and even Pollard playing for the Bulls. Bulls are rubbish, but Pollard still looks like he has a bit more to him. He's a natural 10. He's a very good 10. The Bulls did
beat the Jaguares this week and lost to the Sunwolves last week, so make of that what you will.
Crazy, bonkers. But that's basically the main takeoff is 3 good South African sides is something that we didn't necessarily think was the case a couple of weeks ago. It's more of a positive
they've added
spin.
a bit of flavour to the tournament. That needed some, because other than that, it really has been about all the New Zealand teams. And like again, the games are great. The New Zealand conference is great. It's as good as it's ever been. But we're just not seeing those games frequently enough. And now, as the season gets on, at the start of the season, we were seeing all these New Zealand derbies, and it was making for great watching. And we saw another great one this week with the Blues Chiefs. But now all the teams are off touring, and it's just game after game of
New Zealand teams shellacking anything they put in front of them,
and there's just not much entertaining to watch there.
Whereas when you get into European rugby, going to put our chip in our shoulder, we'll say the Champions Cup semis coming up. Those are all competitive games, very much.
And it'll be and even the Amlin Cup semis. It's
also competitive.
It's going to be good to watch. And I suppose I just want to mention one thing before we wrap up, which is that watching Bowden Barrett operate in that. Sorry, it was. Did I say Blues Chiefs? It was Blues Hurricanes. Watching Bowden Barrett operate this week, it just made me think. Like, there have been best players in the world in recent years, whether it's Richie McCaw. And actually, I think I commented this online and had someone instantly come back and go, you need to watch some Dan Carter before you start saying stuff like this. But
I have watched many
I love Dan
Carter. Dan
Carter
is amazing.
I don't think I've ever been wowed by a player. He's the best player in the world right now. But even when compared to other best players in the world, I don't think I've been wowed by a player like that since the early days of Brian O'Driscoll. He has an intellect to him. He can pick out the corners. His kicking game is excellent. But his broken field running is extraordinary.
Such an asset for a 10 to have.
He's so
that
talented
he doesn't,
as well. He doesn't make mistakes at that pace.
And he made Sonny Bill look a bit of a fool, which I found so satisfying. Sonny Bill Williams, yes, he's very talented and he's an amazing athlete, but he doesn't commit to any discipline. And now, like, he came in a few years ago for the World Cup, and it was like, yes, he's so useful and good at offloads and whatnot, we'll have to use him. But to see him get shown up a few times. It's because it's like rugby's moved on, man. New Zealand are constantly developing. We know this shit now, and you can't just swan in here after a bit of boxing and a bit of Super Rugby and a bit of whatever, a bit of modelling, and decide you're going to play this year. Fuck you, man. Bodie Barrett making him look a bit silly. Bodie Barrett also could make the Lions look silly.
He could be the player of a generation. He really could. He could be the face of this generation's rugby union. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. Like I thought last year might have been just a pioneering year for him. He doesn't look like he's slowing down either literally or figuratively. When he loses the pace, it'll be interesting to see. That's obviously what for me makes Brian O'Driscoll the best of all time, is how he evolved his game when he lost his pace.
How he still became relevant.
Remains to be seen what happens with Bowden after that. But for now, best in the world, and making me weep with joy every
time, and making coaches who have to try and come up with some kind of tactic to defend him
weep with sorrow.
Good luck, because like just outside him, he has some of the best game breakers in the world, and in multiple positions. He has depth. He has 3 of the best ones in each position, and himself. He can go himself as well. It's very, very hard to contain. And yes, we will get on to Lions next year. The Lions,
We're going to talk a bit more. I have things to say about the Crusaders as well, but we'll save that for another podcast.
Absolutely, because the Crusaders are one of these ones who have brought up youth, and it's like they've always been
the instincts are so good.
Exactly,
they're so good.
They do
the right things
all the time, and from their top level players to the ones that you don't get to see, who then get brought in when injury comes, and they just slot in and do great things as well. So there's much more to talk about. Especially like there's a lot to learn from Super Rugby, particularly the New Zealand Conference. If you want to look at the forefront of innovation in rugby union at the moment, it's coming from the New Zealand Conference. There are a few other exceptions. I would like to think that Leinster Rugby,
Clermont Rugby, Saracens Rugby,
Munster Rugby
all could give some of those New Zealand teams a game. But that'd be a fun tournament. If we
it would be, yeah. I'd love to see Leinster be the Chiefs, Leinster be the Crusaders. Could you imagine? It'd be great.
Yeah.
But more conversations to come. But thanks for listening. We're gonna wrap up this podcast. It was a little bit different, a little bit late coming. We have a few different topics we want to discuss. We want to do a bit more of, like we were talking about with the that article that we brought up, Andy Howell's piece and such. We kind of want to branch out a little bit and do some just different content. Try and explore the game in a bit more depth. We did the back 3 one a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about the nuances of that game. We may do centre play as well, because obviously, like we have 2 centres in the Northern Hemisphere versus 1 second 5/8 and a centre in the Southern Hemisphere, which is an interesting distinction with difference in terms of mindset. We may get into that at some point, but we just want to pick little topics and explore what we think's going on. And if you have any comments to that effect, please do, or just any notes, any dislikes, anything, just please let us know. Comment.
By all means, comment. Again, we're always looking for discussions and interesting things, and hopefully this is going to be up early in the week, Monday or Tuesday, and we hope to have another one up on Friday or Saturday, which will be previewing the semi-finals in full. So that'll be fun. This has been number 10, and on we go.
Great,
to 20.
going into double figures.
Here we go.
High five.
Here we go.
Sweet.
It's awesome.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Bye.